Welcome to part 1 of my 3-night solo winter camping trip at Cooke State Park up near, well, maybe about 50 miles south of Duluth. Now, I camped here back in October and did a video then. I'll link it up. I guess it shows up here if I remember to do so. I'll link it up there. I started out planning to go back to George H. Crosby Manitou State Park like I did last February. Again, I'll link up here. But due to a number of factors, I decided it would be easier, I decided it would be better this time around to come to St. Croix State Park. I hope I can get to Crosby Manitou in February or maybe early March, because I do want to do that park. There were just too many things stacking up against me for this trip. So it came to a case of I come to a park like this, or I don't winter camp at all in January. The latter was not very appetizing. I really wanted to get a winter trip in, so I compromised. Now, in the process of reserving a spot here, I discovered that there's 3 walk-in sites just off the main campground. Otherwise, there's about a half dozen pull-in sites in one loop that are open. At the end of that one loop, there's a cabin, and although not necessarily always the case, I find frequently the cabins are taken by people who don't have a lot, let's just say they don't have a lot of courtesy for others. And I thought the walk-in site was a little bit more my style anyway. And it also gave me a way of testing out one of my new pieces of gear. That piece of gear is buried under a lot of other stuff here. But I got myself a new sled. If you remember when I did the Crosby Manitou Park last year, I had a blue sled. I just recently bought a black sled. The blue sled I'd had for quite a while. It was getting run out or worn out. A lot of scratches in it, deep gouges in it, stuff like that. So I found this sled at Menards for $15. So I thought I'd buy it. The other thing is I rigged it up with poles, so it is more manageable now, and is now classified as a pulk, P-U-L-K, instead of a toboggan or sled. The poles help it trek a little bit better, and they'll also help immensely when I go downhill. So one thing that coming here gained to me was the ability to check out my pulk, make sure the poles were doing what they're doing, what they're supposed to do, that type of thing. Now, it's pretty flat coming down here, so I wasn't able to test their downhill capabilities at all, but seemed to work pretty well. First time I've pulled a sled with poles rather than ropes, and it proved to be a lot easier coming in here. Now you notice I had an old bag, fanny pack, whatever you want to call it, from many years ago, and so I'm using that as a harness for my pulk. I know I'm not sure it's got the strength to pull the pulk uphill, but I don't know that I up a steep hill, that is. But I don't think I have the strength to pull it up a steep hill either, so probably will not be a problem. Due to a heavy snowstorm, a March-like snowstorm, about 8 inches of wet, heavy snow, which we don't usually get this time of year. Anyway, had a snowstorm, big snowstorm between Rochester and the Twin Cities of Minneapolis, St. Paul yesterday and last night. And that's actually one of the reasons I decided to change my plans, was and it actually proved to be a very good choice. Anyway, due to that, it took me longer to get up here than it should have. A lot of icy roads between Rochester and the cities. Once I got north of the cities, then I had very nice winter driving conditions on the rest of the way up. But it took me a lot longer to get to the cities. So due to that, I'm a couple hours late getting in here. It's after 4 o'clock now, I believe. Sunset's about 5. I don't have a thing set up yet. I was hoping to be able to take advantage of the sunshine this evening to get some photos and such, but my little bit of sunshine left is going to be taken up with setting up camp. Before I set up, let me just take you on a quick tour so you can see what the layout is. So where the entrance of the camp was. That's where my Cooke currently is. Nice big tent pad over here. There are a couple of ridges in it. I'm not sure what the ridges are, but I think I can take my snow shovel and take them down a little bit. Oh, excuse me. Do I have a picnic table and a fire grate, fire ring. So I gotta get the rest of this table cleared off of snow. There has been somebody out here this winter, but it's been a while before the last snowstorm, which up here was, I think, just a few days before we got ours. Anyway, I'm surrounded with lots of pine trees. Being a state park, I can't gather any firewood, so I bought myself a couple of bundles before I came in. And yeah, that's about it. So I'm gonna go ahead and start setting up the tent, and yeah, get busy with putting things away and shoveling off the table, shoveling out the fire ring, all that kind of stuff. Like I didn't do enough shoveling last night with the one of the new pieces of gear that I wanted to share with you. My new tent that I got for Christmas. Now you're probably thinking, but Nibby, that's an awfully huge tent. Yes, I do intend to take it to the Boundary Waters with me. Anyway, to which I will reply, no, it's not a huge tent, it's just a huge bag. I got this for Christmas, like I said. I was very surprised when I opened the box and the tent took up about that much of the bag from here to here. The rest of this was all empty. That's not the way it usually works in the camping world, guys. You know, all those bags that you have a hard time stuffing your gear in because they come just big enough to fit your gear in when you've got, you know, when it's rolled real nicely in the factory, and then you get out in the world, out in the wild, you use it, and you just can't get it back in that bag. Well, Eureka gave me plenty of bag. So what I did earlier on last year, after I got the tent, which was actually before Christmas, I already had it, I went out in the backyard and I set it up. This was pre-snow and all the rest of it. When I got through setting it all up, making sure all the stakes were there and all the poles and everything else, and also checking it out, make sure that it was what I wanted, I decided to just stuff it back into the bag. So that's why now it fills the bag. Once I get back to rolling it up, it's going to fit in here really nicely. So anyway, yeah, that's my tent, and I'm going to go ahead and start. The body of the tent itself looks very much like my old one. My old tent was a Eureka Apex 2XT, a fairly old model. I've had it for about 10 years or so. This is a Mountain Pass 2XT. The main differences with what you see so far is that my Apex 2XT, being old technology, had sleeves instead of clips, or partial sleeves I should say, instead of clips. The other difference is that this Mountain Pass has aluminum poles instead of fiberglass. I had actually been jonesing after a Mountain Pass for many years. I just couldn't afford one because it was rated as a little bit better tent than the Apex for extended seasons. Still not a 4-season, but I have a feeling that anything that this tent can't stand up to, I'm not going to want to be out in anyway, so don't think that's going to be a problem. So those aluminum poles is part of what makes it a little bit more of an extended season, but it's really the fly that'll make it the biggest difference. So now let me work on getting the fly on top, and I'll show you some of the things I really like about this fly. The stakes that came with this tent, other than not being gold colored, have the same feel as those no-bendium stakes. I'll find out eventually whether they're as good as no-bendium, but they're definitely a step up from the stakes you usually get with a tent, or at least stakes that I usually get. I managed to get all the stakes in yet. If the snow was deeper, I'd be able to use snow anchors, but there's no snow to pack. So I have no choice but to try to pound stakes in frozen ground, which doesn't work real well. So anyway, let me get going on the features here. One thing is, you got these air vents up in the, let me do this one-handed. Okay, so there's a piece of Velcro in there. Again, trying to do this one-handed is not necessarily the easiest, but that'll help vent some of the moisture overnight. Now, my Apex had these pull-outs like this. They had the loops. This actually came with rope and extra stakes, both of which I had to supply myself on the apex. I'm not going to use those tonight. I'm not expecting any bad weather. That's one difference. Cute little window. Here's another one so I can see out. One thing I really like is that the fly, they make it difficult to do this one-handed, unfortunately, because of all the Velcro, but the fly opens from the side. Let me put you down for a minute here. I'll get this started. You might, let's see. Point you this way. Maybe you can see here. Stuck again. The Velcro is actually, although it's bothersome trying to do things one hand, it also helps to keep rain out, so ultimately it's a good thing. But anyway, as you can hopefully see, the fly opens from the side instead of the middle. Now, that in conjunction with, I don't know if you can be able to see this or not, but you saw me put the one pole in the tent fly. The Eureka calls that a fly pole. I've seen it referred to as a brow pole by some manufacturers. But anyway, it just gives you a little bit of more headroom inside your vestibule. It gives you a rain, it means you can get in and out of the tent and still have a little bit of rain cover. Now, opening on the side, my apex opened in the middle down here. It did, well, of course it didn't have this flat thing across, which I'll go into in a little bit, but it opened in the middle, which meant, now I don't like taking my boots inside my tent at all, so I would have to manage to put my boots on and then lean way over to that corner and try to unzip up. Now I just have to reach over to the side and unzip it that way, which is a lot easier, especially at my age, to do. So, and what this is going to allow me to do is on those nights where there's just a little bit of light rain, I can actually leave this flap open, have a view to the outside world, and not have to, and not worry about things getting wet inside. The other thing is, zippers are one of the first places that a tent will leak. When I had that apex where the zipper started over the door, eventually it would leak. I'd have to make sure I didn't leave anything in the middle of the vestibule overnight, because anything that was left there would get wet. And on top of that, if it started leaking towards the top of the zipper, it would leak right down into the tent. So I have to make sure the inside fabric on the door was closed. So I really love, I think I'm really going to love this situation going forward. I'll be able to leave my rainfly open more frequently, in the summer, even when it's raining a little bit, or I don't have to worry about dew now. If there's a little bit of dew, it's not going to bother me because it'll land on the, it'll accumulate on the fly and not on the tent body. And so I'll be able to see out a lot more often. Now the other thing with this front here is that when it's set up properly, let me close the fly again. You see I've got these two zippers. Again, trying to do this one-handed is not working real well. But basically, this piece will open to let air in, even on those nights when I have to zip up completely because of wind and rain. So all in all, I think, at least what I see so far, I'm really going to love this tent. It has a lot of nice features that I understand why they did it, and I love why they did it. Well, now, as you can see, it's getting rather dark out here. The camera actually is picking up a little bit more light than what's really out here. And I've still got a lot of stuff to do. Got a lot of things to put away. And what have you. You gotta have supper and all that. So I'm gonna have to put you down while I knew I wasn't gonna have time enough tonight for cooking much of anything. So I went with freeze-dried, and the freeze-dried I went with is Mountain House. But you can't guess what kind of Mountain House. Mountain House, you're probably wrong. I went with noodles and chicken tonight. Why? Well, I had chicken and noodles on hand. It's a 2.5 serving chicken and noodles, and I knew I'd be hungry out here. And the only beef stroganoff I had, which is probably what you were guessing if you watched my channel enough, only beef stroganoff I had on hand was the 1 serving. So chicken and noodles sounded, or noodles and chicken, whichever way around it is, sounded like it would be a good thing for tonight. Next 2 nights I'm going to do pasta sides with a little bit of meat thrown in. A little bit more cooking required. I still don't have any wood chopped. Hope to have a fire tonight. Maybe a little one. Don't think I'm going to do anything big. Got the water in the chicken and noodles, waiting for it to cook. Reason I'm not looking straight at the camera is because it's so dang bright. You might notice I don't have a headlamp. I don't know what happened. I got one out ready to go, put fresh batteries in it. I thought I put it in one of my bags. Out here, I can't find it. And you know what? I've been camping since I was a teenager. Probably only using a headlamp for the, maybe the last 20 years. So, you know, back then we used to manage without headlamps. Now, it's the worst thing I can think of to do without. I keep reaching for my head to turn my headlamp on, and nothing's there. I've got this little light here that I can use. It's not very bright. It probably needs new batteries. But I gotta hold it. Or hold it. It's hard to direct it where I want it to be. One of those things that you wonder how you ever got away. How you ever survived without them. Anyway, I got some wood to chop. I got some dinner to eat. I'm in the tent. No fire tonight. It was just so dark. Without a headlight, I wouldn't have been able to see where I was chopping. And yeah, it was just seemed to be the prudent thing to do. So I had supper, and I took some things back to the car, and then I had some hot chocolate, and then I started getting things organized for bed. I'm not actually, I'm in my sleeping bag, but I'm not bedded down yet. But I thought I'd give you an update before I did so. This tent came with a, I don't know if you can see it or not, a loft. Perfect for putting Lucy in, so that I can have some light in here, especially since I don't have a headlamp. Took a little bit of doing to get that loft set up, but just finished that. So now I'm going to be organizing my bedclothes and settling in for the night. I tried to set up one of my Nalgene bottles as a hot water bottle. It's a warm water bottle, not a hot water bottle. Oh well, I tried. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one of my blankets, or not one of my blankets, one of my jackets, one of my coats over my feet. Hopefully that'll take care of the whole cold feet thingy. Otherwise I do have some of those hot warmers, although you're not supposed to use them in an enclosed space, but I just might look at doing that. So I'm not even sure what time it is. Let me check. It is 9:30, so without having the fire, I'm still getting to bed somewhat later than what I intended to. It's been a long day today, and I wanted to get to bed early because I'd like to get up early, try to get down to the river. Hopefully if the sun's shining tomorrow morning, I can get some decent pictures of the waterfall down there and of the river, things like that at the beginning. It's not supposed to be sunny tomorrow, it's supposed to be cloudy, so don't know what that's going to do to me. So Thursday we're supposed to have a little bit of sun around, so if I miss things tomorrow, I've got Thursday to do it. But yeah, that's my plan right now. Try to get down to the river early, get some decent photos down there, come back here, get some wood processed. Depending on what the light's like tomorrow evening, I might go back down to the river again and try to get some more pictures, and then come back here, have supper, have a campfire, and at least a lot of other things won't need as much sorting out when I go to bed tomorrow. So I think that's it for now. Last I looked at my phone, it said it was 10 degrees. I'm supposed to get down to 9 tonight. I'm using a 0-degree bag, so should be okay, even if it goes down a little bit more than that. And yeah, you'll know in the morning. So night night. We'll talk to you tomorrow.